Hello, future RMPs. Welcome back to our virtual classroom. And in today's lecture, what we are going to discuss is all about urine screening for metabolic disorders. Our learning outcomes are as follows. Number one is to explain the abnormal accumulation of metabolites in the urine and discuss the appearance of urine from a patient with metabolic diseases. Okay, so as we all know, urine is a body fluid that contains the end product of body's metabolism. No? Sabi natin, contains the metabolic processes or metabolic products rather of our body. And we said that urine is a very useful body fluid to assess the function of the organ of the human, particularly the kidney function, and the other functions of the body. No? And I want you to take note that even though that urine is a very useful body fluid to assess the state of well-being, there are some analytes that cannot be detected or cannot be tested using the routine urinalysis. That's why some other tests or sophisticated tests, no, can be done to assess, no, these other diseases that can be seen in our urine. Okay, positive screening can be done in a more sophisticated procedures that can be performed not only in clinical microscopy section but in other sections, in particular is in chemistry section. Now, what we have here in our slide is overflow versus renal disorders. Ano bang difference? What is the difference between overflow disorders and renal disorders? First things first is let's discuss again, no? Renal disorder. So sa renal disorder, there is a malfunction in the tubular reabsorption. No? Tubular reabsorption. As we discussed in our previous discussion, in our previous videos, we said that one of the problems in the kidney diseases or kidney disorders is the failure of the tubules. Yan, medyo napagod na. The failure of the tubules to reabsorb nutrients. Such nutrients includes amino acids. Okay, so this is the reason, one of the reason why we have a overflow or inborn error of metabolism, and the origin of that is malfunction of the tubular reabsorption. Aside from that, no, aside from that, we've discussed that the damages to the renal which develops renal disorder may be due to immunologic reactions or chemical toxins, as we discussed in our renal disorders. No? Sabi natin, glomerular disease or uh, damage in the glomerulus may be brought by two conditions. Number one is due to immunologic responses to the antibodies of the antibodies produced during the infection, or because of the chemicals or toxins that resulted in the proliferation of our basement membrane or our glomerulus basement membrane, which again resulted into a problem that is known to be a kidney problem. Now, how about overflow? What is the difference between overflow disorder and renal disorder? When we said overflow disorder, there is a disruption. No? There is a disruption of what? Disruption of the normal metabolic pathways. And the disruption of these normal metabolic pathways causes increased concentration of non-metabolite substances that can be found in the plasma, no, and at the same time can be found in the urine. Now the question is why these non-metabolized substances were found in the urine. The very reason, and that's because take note that our plasma passes through our glomerulus. passes to our kidney. No? The mechanism, take note, I will write this. Okay? The mechanism of the body is anything in excess, or anything in excess will be excreted. In other words, if we have increased substances of these non-metabolized substances, or increased concentration rather, of these non-metabolized substances, the mechanism of the body is to excrete that. Imagine a glass of water. Okay? Imagine a glass of water, and you continuously add water, no, using a pitcher of water. No? Continuously add water until you reach, no, the level, or the brim, no, the rim of our glass. Ano yung mangyayari dyan? There will be an overflow. Okay? That's actually the same thing, and the same mechanism of the body. Anything in excess will be excreted. That's why even though that there is an increased plasma concentration, it will be seen. No, it can be seen in our urine because it is excreted. Okay? Now, there are what we call abnormal metabolic constituents or conditions detected in routine urinalysis. Basically, based on its color, odor, or the presence of crystals. Well, if you still remember our discussion in physical examination of urine, we said that physical examination of urine includes what a color, no, and uh, pH, transparency, as well as odor. Okay, so we said that these odor, color, and transparency or clarity of our urine is our primary investigation in order for us to take note what is the underlying condition. I want to make it clear, and I want to give emphasis, primary investigation. Now, in abnormal metabolic constituents of the urine that can be detected using a routine urinalysis, these are the conditions why the odor of urine is like this, why the color of urine is like this, why there is a presence of this crystal. Well, in particular, we have here homogenesic acid, melanin, indican, and porphyrins. These are the conditions, or these are the constituents, the metabolic constituents that causes abnormal color of the urine. As we all know, the normal color of urine is yellow, no, light yellow or pale yellow, due to the pigment urochrome. But what are these conditions, or what are the what you call this? The contributions of these metabolites which causes abnormal color of urine, which we are going to find out as we go along in this discussion. Another thing is about the odor. Although odor is not routinely performed anymore in the laboratory nowadays, no, we said that urine odor, no, is a part of the primary investigation, and the normal urine odor is aromatic or sometimes bleach-like. Okay, more on aromatic if you have a sweetie odor, no, sweetie odor if you have diabetes, or aromatic, yeah, it's the normal color, or sometimes bleach-like if there are problems or underlying problems or conditions. Now, other odor of the urine, no, other abnormal or pathological odors of the urine may be brought or may be due to these conditions: phenylketonuria, maple syrup urine order, maple syrup urine disease or MSUD, isovaleric acidemia, isostenuria, cystinosis, and homocystinuria. Again, we are going to discuss each types as we go along. And upon microscopic examination, no, we said that the presence of cysteine, cystinosis, leucine, tyrosine, these are all amino acids that can be found in the urine. And the problem why we have the presence of these amino acids in the urine is because, again, the origin of that, and if you're going to trace the etiology of that, is because of the renal diseases or renal disorder. And particular, no, in particular, is the reabsorption or failure of the proximal convoluted tubule through the active transport to reabsorb our amino acids. Well, for the case of Leishman-Hans disease, no, a yellow diaper disorder. In this case, this is not a amino acid crystal, but rather a calcium oxalate. Okay? Now, what are the major disorders of protein and carbohydrate metabolism associated with abnormal urinary constituents classified by the functional defect? Take note, guys, that the most frequently encountered abnormalities are associated with metabolic disturbances. Okay? And what about metabolic disturbances? What will happen? This metabolic disturbances in the body will produce urinary overflow. Urinary overflow of what? Urinary overflow of proteins, fats, or even carbohydrate metabolism. Okay? Which includes this one, phenylketonuria, tyrosinemia, alkaptonuria, maple syrup urine disease, organic acidemia, cystinosis, porphyrias, milk polysaccharides, galactosemia, and Leishman-Hans disease. Okay? These metabolic disturbances, okay, uh, includes, or why there is a metabolic disturbances. The reason why there is a metabolic disturbances, no, or problem in the metabolism of the proteins, fats, carbohydrates, which includes also our amino acids, is because of that enzyme function. There is what we call disruption of enzymes. Well, as we all know, and if you're going to review your basic understanding of enzymes, we said or we defined that enzymes is a chemical catalyst or simply a biological catalyst. And from the word itself, catalyst, it means it enhances the reaction. It promotes the reaction, no, to undergo. Ngayon, if there are problems, no, as we discuss later, no, the conversion of phenylalanine into tyrosine, since there is a problem in the enzyme phenylalanine hydrolase, which fails to convert phenylalanine to tyrosine, which means phenylalanine uh, increases in the urine, no, kaya nagkakaroon ng mga ganitong disorder, is because of the deficiency or problem in the enzyme. That is actually the very reason why, no, there are what we call overflow. Okay. Next, other than that is the disruption of the enzyme can also lead into failure or inherit gene to produce a particular enzyme, okay, which is referred into what we call IEM. And what is this IEM? IEM stands for inborn error of metabolism. Okay? Inborn errors of metabolism, no? Bakit or why there is an inborn error of metabolism? Because of the disruption on the functions of our enzymes. Now, before, how could they detect that there is an inborn error of metabolism? Because you cannot say upon birth or after giving birth, naku, mayroong phenylketonuria ang batang ito. Naku, mayroong indicanuria ang batang ito. Naku, mayroong melanuria ang batang ito. You cannot say unless uh, you will perform a recommended test or test, no, to detect that or to say that there is a really problem. Because neonates or children, newborn child or newborn does not possess any observable sign that they have inborn errors of metabolism. Hindi mo naman agad sila makikita, naku, uh, meron siyang tyronesemia. That's why ang puti-puti niya. No, we cannot say that. Okay? Unless otherwise, we are going to perform tests. And that is actually the reason why we have to perform screening for our metabolic diseases. Why? Because if we fail to know that the child has an inborn error of metabolism, it can affect his or her mental well-being, physical and psychological well-being. That's why we have what we call the newborn screening test. The purpose of newborn screening test is to detect newborn errors. to detect inborn errors of metabolism. I'm sorry. It detects uh, inborn error of metabolism, which includes the diseases or the disorders that I have discussed. Now, in the Philippine setting, no, in the Philippine setting, well, I hope you still remember the Newborn Screening Act of the Philippines, as we discussed that in the medical technology laws and ethics. Okay, newborn screening in the Philippines, no, is performed within 72 hours after birth. No, why? Why not immediately after birth? No? Bakit hindi pagkapanganak, newborn agad natin si baby? Why do we have to perform newborn screening within 72 hours after birth? The reason on that is because that is the time wherein the unit, wherein the newborn starts to strive on his or her own. Actually, uh, there is also another, yeah, I will discuss that later na lang. So mamaya ko na lang sasabihin. Okay? That is the reason why. We cannot perform the newborn screening in less than 24 hours. 24 to 72 hours is the ideal time to perform newborn screening. Okay? And the sample on that is, take note ha, the sample on newborn screening is not a venous blood, is not capillary blood, that's not a puncture blood, but what we call on the sample for newborn screening is spot blood. Ano daw po? Spot blood. What do we mean by spot blood? Okay, you will have, as you can see here in this filter paper, this is the actually the filter paper that you are going to blot the blood of the patient. Okay, basang-basa dapat yon ng blood. Okay, and the blood must transverse, no, on the back part of the filter. Dapat bakat siya doon, dapat visible siya doon. Because if not, the newborn screening center, the newborn center or the NVS center will call the laboratory to collect another sample. Quantity not sufficient. Okay? And, excuse me. No, the analytical techniques to perform the newborn screening or to assess newborn screening is what we call tandem spectrophotometry, mass MS, or tandem mass spectrophotometry. Okay. Now, what are the amino acid disorders? Okay. Amino acid disorders are basically divided into 4 categories. We have phenylalanine tyrosine disorders, which includes phenylketonuria, tyrosiluria, alkaptonuria, and melanuria. We have tryptophan disorders, which includes indicanuria and argentefinoma. Branch chain amino acid disorders includes maple syrup urine disorder and organic acidemias, while for cysteine disorders, well, definitely it includes cystinuria, cystinosis, and homocystinuria. Okay? So let's discuss each type of amino acid disorders. So number 1, we have phenylketonuria. Again, take note guys that phenylketonuria, also known as PKU, is one of the amino acid disorder. As we all know, phenylalanine is a amino acid. Okay? So take note guys that of all amino acid disorders or amino acidurias, no, of all amino acidurias, phenylketonuria is one of the most or the most well known pala, I'm sorry, most well known amino acidurias. Okay? And based on statistics, no? And based on statistics, PKU is estimated to occur in one of every 10,000 to 20,000 births. Now, what is this all about? Why there is amino acidurias? Why there is what we call phenylketonuria. Okay, if you are going to open your book, if you are going to browse your book, you will find there that there is a particular table, no, in figure 8-2. Okay, uh, I failed to include it pala in my PowerPoint. Well, anyway, okay, I will try to explain it to you the best thing that I can do. Yeah, I will write na lang. Yan. Okay, take note guys that phenylketonuria occurs in because of the disruption in what we call phenylalanine hydroxylase. Okay? So, take note that the normal metabolism, okay, the normal metabolism, I hope that you will be able to understand this. The normal metabolism includes your phenylalanine, okay? Our phenylalanine will be converted into what we call tyrosine. Tyrosine. Yan. And the conversion of phenylalanine to tyrosine is promoted by the enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase. Phenylalanine hydroxylase. Okay? So, the phenylalanine hydroxylase will convert our phenylalanine into a tyrosine. Now, let's say for example that there is a disruption in this enzyme. The function of this enzyme is not possible. It's either there is no substrate for that. So what will happen? There will be what we call ano tawag dyan? Phenylketonuria, I'm sorry. Phenylketonuria. Okay? There will be what we call phenylketonuria, and this is our metabolic disorder. Now, since that phenylalanine cannot be converted into tyrosine, what will happen? Okay, what will happen? There will be increased amount of phenylalanine in plasma. Okay? Increased phenylalanine will plasma since there is an increase. Overflow eh. No, diba? Sabi natin overflow. May overflow, ano yung mangyayari? It will be excreted. The excess will be excreted. Yan. Via urination. That is the reason why there is the presence of phenylalanine in the urine. Again, take note the disruption in the enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase. Okay? Now, bakit magkakameron ng ganito? Ano yung problem? The problem is the failure to produce this enzyme. Okay? The failure to produce this enzyme leads into the deficiency of the enzyme. And the deficiency of the enzyme uh, is correlated or prequel of the failure to convert our phenylalanine into tyrosine. Gets? Yes. Ngingiti ka kasi nagagets mo. Kapag hindi ka ngumiti, ulitin mo na lang. Okay? Yan. So again, failure to produce the enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase is the problem on this one. Eh ngayon, why or what is the observable characteristic sa patient with phenylketonuria? Fair complexion. Wait lang, I will just change the color of my pen. Fair complexion to the children, even though they have dark-skinned family. Bakit? Are they ampon? Are they adopted? No. Okay, if you're going to go back, no, as I go back here, No? Ay, wala na pala. I'm sorry. Well, nakakatawa yun. You just laugh. So as we go back, sabi natin, the failure of phenylalanine, no? Phenyl to tyrosine is disrupted because of the problem in phenylalanine hydroxylase failure to produce. What will happen? The byproduct, no, the byproduct of tyrosine metabolism, okay, the byproduct. Take note of this, ha? I am joining the discussion. The byproduct of this uh, metabolism of tyrosine, sulat ko na nga, baka at P at nilang ilagay sa exam, no? The byproduct of the metabolism or the conversion of our tyrosine is melanin. Oh? Ano naman sir si melanin? Melanin gives the brownish pigmentation of the skin. Yan yung normal na kulay. Yan yung nagbibigay ng normal brown color of the skin. And since you cannot produce tyrosine, since you cannot produce tyrosine, ibig sabihin, tyrosine cannot metabolize. Tyrosine cannot convert, synthesize. Having said that tyrosine cannot be synthesized because of the failure of phenylalanine to be converted into tyrosine, then there will be a failure to produce melanin, which gives the brown color to the skin. That's why even dark color yung family, the mother and the father has a dark color, the baby has white complexions. Red, maputi. Bakit? If either mababa, it's because mababa ang kanilang melanin or wala talagang production of the melanin because of the failure to convert phenylalanine to tyrosine. Okay? Now, there is a question why screening of phenylketonuria does not come under the auspice of urinalysis laboratory. Bakit nga ba hindi? Okay? Because before you can detect phenylalanine into the urine, before you detect phenylketonuria in the urine, you must have first an increased phenylalanine in your serum, in your plasma. How could you have an overflow in your urine if there is no increase in this phenylalanine in the plasma or in serum? So, it is acceptable to say that before you perform urine analysis for the possibility of having PKU, it is recommended to do first serum phenylalanine identification or analysis. Because once this phenylalanine increases in our plasma, in our serum, that is actually the time pala that the phenylalanine can be detected in the urine. 2 to 6 weeks. Okay? That's why, again, no? Remember, PKU does not, or the screening of PKU does not come under the auspice of our urinalysis laboratory. Don't be sad because it can be detected naman in our serum. Okay? Now, phenylalanine can be detected as soon as 4 hours. 4 hours after birth. Okay? According to our reference, according to our book, study shows, study shows that cases of phenylalanine can be detected as early as 4 hours after birth. Using what? Serum, not your urine. Okay? That's why it is recommended to perform newborn screening after 24 hours or 24 hours after birth. Eh kasi, if you are going to perform newborn screening right after birth or after birth, aba, eh hindi pa din nagde-detect ang ating phenylalanin. Okay? So I hope you get what I mean. Now, another question is, why is it some girls are negative in PKU? The answer on that is because female, no, girls or female girls, mababa or mababa yung pag-akyat, mababa yung rise ng kanilang phenylalanin in the blood. Sometimes, no, nagkakaroon ng false negative or pseudo negative result in their phenylalanin in the blood. Okay? Now, can we use urine for the screening for phenylalanin? Yes, pwede naman. But remember, if you're going to use urine to screen phenylalanin 2 hours after birth, 3 hours after birth, 2 days after birth, 3 days after birth, you cannot do that. Why? Because the excretion of urinary phenylpyruvate takes 2 to 6 weeks. Okay, so pwede naman after 2 to 6 weeks of birth. So if we are going to use urine, no, we have what we call the ferric chloride test. And this ferric chloride may be used to ensure the proper dietary control in previously diagnosed cases. Okay? So what we are going to do is, we are going to have our, as much as I want you to perform this one. Kaso, if you're going to perform this one, negative naman yung ma-detect nyo. Why? Eh, no one naman ay merong phenylketonuria sa inyo. Unless otherwise, you will have, pwede. We have amino acid phenylalanin in the laboratory. O yan, pwede. Yun nga lang, hindi urine. O, lagyan nyo na lang sa urine. Lalagay na lang natin sa urine ang phenylalanin. Sige, gagawin natin yan. Let's just pray and hope that everything will be fine so that we can perform the test that I want you to perform. Okay, going back. So what we're going to have is ferric chloride, no? Yes, this is an abnormal test tube drawn by abnormal, not me, drawn by the abnormal condition. Okay, so this is our test tube. What you're going to do is you're going to add 1 ml of ferric chloride. Okay, you're going to add 1 ml of ferric chloride, and then, no, 1 ml of urine, I'm sorry, 1 ml of urine plus 10 drops of ferric chloride. Yan. 10 drops of ferric chloride. And if there is a blue-green, if there is a blue-green color, then upon addition, then it means that it is positive for phenylalanin. Okay? It is positive for phenylalanin. Okay? Next is we have disorders of tyrosine metabolism. Okay? So take note, guys, that the disruption or the disorder of tyrosine metabolism is due to the accumulation of excess tyrosine into the plasma, which now we call it tyrosinemia. Okay? Tyrosinemia. No? This is what we call accumulation of excess tyrosine. Accumulation of excess tyrosine, tyrosine, no? Accumulation of excess tyrosine in the plasma. Tyrosiluria is in the urine. Okay, in the urine. Now take note that the disorder of tyrosine metabolism can be due to metabolic defects or due to inherited. Okay, may result either from inherited or metabolic defects. Take note because of these reactions are directly involved in the metabolism of tyrosine, the urine contains excess amount of our tyrosine. Okay, now I'm going to show you. I'm going to show to you the, the flow, no, of our uh, tyrosine metabolism. Okay, so we're going to trace it back first from our phenylalanine. So, syempre, mahalagang alamin natin ang ating mga pinagmulan. Okay? So, first is we have phenylalanine. Okay? Phenylalanine converted to or metabolized to or synthesized to tyrosine. Okay? And the conversion of phenylalanine into tyrosine is due to the enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase. Naku, if I were you, I will remember this by heart. Oh, yung nasa book, I will remember this by heart. Okay. Next. Next. The conversion, ito na, the metabolism na ng tyrosine. Okay, this time, what we're going to discuss is the metabolism of tyrosine. Tyrosine is converted into para-hydroxyphenylpyruvate acid. Okay? Para-hydroxy, okay, phenyl, ano yan? Pyruvic acid. Okay? Will be synthesized into para-hydroxyphenyl pyruvic acid. And the enzyme that is responsible on that is no other than tyrosine aminotransferase. Okay. This is the enzyme responsible for the conversion of tyrosine into para-hydroxyphenylpyruvate. Now, take note of this, guys. The conversion of tyrosine into para-hydroxyphenylpyruvate, it will give you a byproduct. No? Ano po yung byproducts ng ating tyrosine metabolism? Number one, of course, is the melanin, which I mentioned to you a while ago. Another one is thyroxine, which is an important in our thyroid synthesis. And we have our epinephrine. Okay? Take note, guys, that this is the normal byproducts. Oh, balikan ko lang ha. The reason why patient with phenylalanine or problem in the conversion of phenylalanine to tyrosine has a fair complexion because of the failure to have our tyrosine. Tyrosine to be converted or synthesized into para-hydroxyphenylpyruvate to have the byproduct or to release the byproduct melanin, thyroxine, and epinephrine. Okay? Now, the question is, the problem to convert tyrosine into para-hydroxyphenylpyruvate is because of the failure of the liver to produce this enzyme. Take note, guys, that thyroxine aminotransferase is an enzyme from the liver. Okay? Enzyme from the liver. Okay? That is an enzyme from the liver. Okay? Now, take note, guys, that the most frequently seen ang ating tyrosinuria in a transitory, seen as a transitory tyrosinemia in premature infants. Okay? Now, this problem no can lead into a problem into the function of the liver. Okay? Take note that transitory tyrosinemia. This is due to in premature infants, no, causes uh, ano yan? Failure to develop liver function. Not really failure, but underdeveloped. Okay, liver function. Now, uh, these liver diseases is associated, no? This liver diseases is associated in the presence of the crystals tyrosine and tyrosine. Well, definitely, you have excess, no, in the tyrosine because you cannot metabolize it. Therefore, not therefore, tyrosine is seen in the liver. Sorry, seen in the urine. Okay? So ano po yung ginagawa natin dito? Ano itsura ng ating tyrosine? Yung tyrosine natin yung may mga registrations, right? Okay. No? Tyrosine yung ating needle-like crystals na kapag nilagyan mo ng alcohol, mako-convert into tyrosine. Tama ka ulit. Okay? Now, the hereditary defects of tyrosine metabolism, hereditary disorders in which enzyme require in the metabolic pathway are not produced. Okay? Again, what is that enzyme? Tyrosine aminotransferase. Okay? Tyrosine aminotransferase. Now, there are three types of tyrosine defects. What are these three types of tyrosine defects? We have type 1, type 2, and type 3. Okay? Type 1, type 2, and type 3. So pag sinabi natin type 1 is caused by the deficiency of the enzyme Fa. Ano naman sir yung Fa na yan? The enzyme Fa stands for uh, fumarate acetoacetate hydroxylase. Again, the enzyme Fa stands for fumarate acetoacetate hydroxylase. So I will write. Acetate hydroxylase. Okay, so that is type 1. The failure or the deficiency in the enzyme fumarate acetoacetate hydroxylase. Next, type 1 produces generalized renal tubular disorders and liver failure in some infants as soon as birth. Okay? Next is type 2. Type 2, lack of enzyme tyrosine aminotransferase. Okay? Well, patients with type 2, no person with type 2 or with this type of tyrosinemia develops corneal erosions and lesions in the palms, fingers, and soles of the feet. Due to what? Due to crystallization of tyrosine in the cells. How sad. No? Due to the crystallization of tyrosines in the cell. Well, for type 3, we have the lack of enzyme para-hydroxyphenylpyruvic acid. They ay, wait lang. Parang mali yung spelling ko ng enzyme. Dioxygenase. Dioxygenase. Wait, I just have to check it in the book if I spell it right. Okay. I spell it right. Sorry. I spell it right. Okay. So that the problem in type 3 is the enzyme pyruvate para-hydroxyphenylpyruvate acid, which can result into a mental retardation or retardation if dietary restrictions are not implemented. So why do we have to know the inborn errors of metabolism as early as possible, as early as neonate pa yung bata? Because we can eliminate or we can uh, not eliminate, we can stop the consuming foods that are rich in this type of amino acids. Okay. Now, I will. Mm, okay, so I will write. Yeah, I will write. So again, from phenylalanine. So lagi trace back natin from phenylalanine to tyrosine. We have phenylalanine hydroxylase. Okay, from tyrosine to para hydroxy phenyl pyruvic acid. We have here aminotransferase. And ito, tyrosine aminotransferase. Okay. Again, the byproducts of tyrosine includes melanin, uh, tyrosine, thyroxine, and our epinephrine. Okay. Tyrosine is due to type 1, type 2, and type 3. The problem in type 1 is deficiency of enzyme, deficiency of okay. Type 2 in particular is deficiency in tyrosine aminotransferase. And in type 3, the problem here is the para-hydroxyphenylpyruvate acid deoxygenase. No, the para-hydroxyphenylpyruvate acid deoxygenase. Okay? So yung type 1, ano yung meron dito? Failure to thrive or failure of kidney and liver. Sa type 2 naman, the problem here is uh, lesions. Lesions due to crystallization of amino acid, of tyrosine in cells. Type 3, the problem here is mental retardation. Okay, mental retardation. Okay, so we have what we call albinism. Now, what is this albinism all about? Albinism is a deficient production of melanin. Again, why there is a uh, why there is a deficiency in the production of melanin? It's because of the problem in the conversion of of tyrosine into para-hydroxyphenylpyruvic acid. If there is no conversion of tyrosine to para-hydroxyphenylpyruvic acid, what will happen? There will be absence of the byproduct melanin. Okay, so take note, when there is a deficient production of melanin, which is the pigment responsible for the brownish color of our skin or dark color of the skin, hair, and eyes, no? Ano nangyayari? Nagkakameron tayo ng albinism. Sometimes, they refer it as anak araw. Okay? The second metabolic pathway is also exists for tyrosine, which is responsible for the production of the byproduct, melanin, thyroxine, epinephrine, protein, and tyrosine sulfate, which are the byproducts of tyrosine metabolism. Of all those, of all those byproducts, no, of all those byproducts, melanin is our major concern, which resulted into white color of the skin, hair, and even sometimes the eyes. Okay. However, or moreover, melanin may react with acetone, okay, which is a reagent strip indicator which is produce a red color urine. Okay, red color urine. Now, how about the appearance of black color urine? Okay, the appearance of black color of urine is uh, due to what? Due to the urine is exposed, no? Or the urine goes age or tumatanda. Take note, as the urine goes age or as the urine goes age, the melanin increases in the urine. Okay? Melanin increases in the urine. Bakit? Because melanin is exposed in the air. Okay? And then take note, no? Take note that what you call this? Take note that this condition, no, or these findings indicates proliferation of the normal melanin-producing cells, melanocytes, which produces malignant tumors, which yields into what we call melanoma, okay? Which leads into what we call melanoma. Okay, so this is what I've told a while ago. The thyroxine pathway is also a production of these byproducts. A black urine is due to the increased urine melanin. Okay, that is the darkening of the urine appears after exposure to air. Okay, again, it produces malignant tumors, no, which yields into what we call melanoma. Okay. Next in line is we have alkaptonuria. Okay, alkaptonuria was one of the 6 original inborn errors of metabolism. Okay, and take note, guys, that the name alkaptonuria was derived from the observation that urine from patient with alkaptonuria, no, uh, becomes alkaline as it stands for the long period of time. Okay, long period of time. Okay, that's why alkaptonuria is known to be our alkaline lover. No? Why this alkaptonuria is possible? Because of the failure to produce homogentic acid oxygenase. Okay? The failure to produce homogentic acid oxygenase. So, ibig sabihin, meron na naman tayong problem here in the enzyme. So, if we have problem in enzyme, we are going to trace it again. Sabihin nyo, susulat na naman yan ang phenylalanin. Well, of course, ulit-ulit, lagi nyo matandaan. Phenylalanin to tyrosine. The conversion is due to phenylalanin hydroxylase, tyrosine rather, tyrosine to para hydroxy phenyl pyruvic acid is due to tyrosine amino transferase. Para-hydroxyl or para-hydroxy phenylpyruvic acid will be converted into homogenesic acid. Okay? And this metabolism of para-hydroxyphenylpyruvic acid into homogenesic acid is due to the enzyme, ayos mo lang, para-hydroxyphenylpyruvate oxidase, so that we will have our homogenesic acid. Okay? So this homogenesic acid will be converted into what we call malacetic acid. Malacetic acid. And the conversion of homogenesic acid into what we call malacetic acid is due to the enzyme homogenesic acid oxidase. Now, having said that homogenesic acid metabolism into malacetic acid is due to homogenesic acid oxidase, ibig sabihin, if there is a disruption in this enzyme, we have what we call inborn error of metabolism or metabolic disorder, which is what we call alkaptonuria. Okay? The problem here is we don't have enough or we don't have homogenesic acid, no, to be homogenesic acid oxidase to convert homogenesic acid into acetoacetic acid, which resulted in metabolic disorder alkaptonuria. Okay? Now, what will happen? If we have what we call alkaptonuria, well, definitely meron ng homogenesic acid sa urine. What will happen is, since we don't have the enzyme that will convert homogenesic acid into malacetoacetic acid, the problem there is there will be an accumulation. And when we said that there is an accumulation, there is increase in our homogenesic acid. Saan? Sa urine, and of course, in the blood, and of course, as well as in our tissue. No? Yan, ito yan. Ito yung pinakikita natin. The failure to produce homogenesic acid oxidase or oxygenase oxidase will have accumulation of our homogenesic acid not only in the urine, but also not only in the urine and blood, but also in our tissue. Okay, so what? What now if I have accumulation of homogenesic acid in urine, of, of homogenesic acid in blood, urine, and tissue? We have what we call brown stained disposable diapers. Okay, and alkaptonuria is now defined as, or now set as, our brown diaper disorder, or sometimes referred as the Regis or the red diaper disorder. And eventually, in the later part or in the later development of the disease, we'll have a brown pigment deposited in the urine. Okay? Well, arthritis is possible because of the deposits of tyrosine, I'm sorry, the deposits of homogentisic acid in our cartilages, liver, and cardiac disorders is also possible. Okay? Now, homogentisic acid is, how are we going to detect homogentisic acid? So we have homogentisic acid test. So how are we going to do this? 4%, 4 ml rather of 3% silver nitrate in a tube with 0.5 ml of urine, mix, and then observe, and then add 10% of ammonium hydroxide, then observe for black color. Black color indicates that there is homogentisic acid. Therefore, homogentisic acid, no, causes what? Black urine. All right. Now, take note of this, the appearance of black urine, no, nandun to sa libro nyo. The appearance of black color urine in any patient should be reported to the supervisor immediately. Okay? Next is we have branch chain or branch, no? I still remember my co-teacher, branch chain amino acid disorder. Okay? This branch chain amino acid disorder includes maple syrup urine disease and organic acidemias. Okay? The branch chain amino acid differs from amino acid having methyl group from the branches from the main aliphatic carbon chain. Ano ba yung mga sinabi mong, sir? Mga branch chain, mga aliphatic na yan. No? O sige, konting review lang tayo ng ating organic chemistry. Konti lang. Don't be sad. Konti lang naman. Let's just differentiate. No? Kaya if you know someone na first year, sabi nyo, don't be struggled. No, wag silang mag-inarte kung sila ay nahihirapan sa organic chemistries because every now and then they will hear it into their professional subjects, which includes this one. No? So when we said, what do we mean by aliphatic? Okay. We also have what we call cyclic. Okay, remember guys, yung ating hydrocarbons, okay, yung ating hydrocarbons, no, it is composed of carbon and hydrogen as the name implies hydrocarbons. Take note guys that si carbon yung si carbon yung star ng organic chemistry. That's why we said, no, in a layman's term said that organic chemistry is a study of carbon containing compounds. Take note that our carbon, although carbon is not dominant, is not abundant in Earth's crust, but carbon has this ability to form four bonds and the ability to have carbon bonds. And these carbon-carbon bonds of our carbon, well, definitely carbon, can be in form of aliphatic or cyclic. When we said aliphatic, this is a long chain of carbons. Like this. No? Naging wavelength na. This is a long chain of carbon having 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 17, 18. Octadecade. No? Yan, long chain of carbon yan. And that is aliphatic. When we said cyclic, ito yung mga arene. Ito yung ating mga ring form. No? Ring form like this one. cyclopentane. Yan. So yun po yung aliphatic, no? So here, no, how this branch amino acid differs from amino acids? It's because they are having methyl group attached to their branch or attached to their aliphatic. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Okay. It means that yung pong ating mga, ito kaya nasabi itong branch, chain, amino acid, there is a methyl group attached to the aliphatic chain or aliphatic carbon chain. Okay? Eh yung pong ating mga amino acid, wala silang branch chain. Okay? Wala silang attachment. Wala po silang mga substituents. Okay? So let's say for example, this one. Amino acid. So this is carboxylic acid. Now take note guys that this one, this is A and this is B. Well, I cannot write the whole structure of an amino acid. You know why? Napakahaba, no? Okay. So this is amino acid unbranched. No? Unbranched amino acid. Okay. This R refers to the carbon chain that can be attached to the nitrogen group. This is an alpha amino acid because this is our carbon alpha. No? We refer that, no, sana na hindi nagigets na po ako. We refer that because the first carbon near or the first carbon after the carbon that contains the carboxyl group. Oh my God, sana nagigets nila ako. Okay, the first carbon after the carbon that contains the carboxyl group is referred as our alpha carbon. That's why this is our alpha amino acid. Now, if you will observe here, no, this is our nitrogen. No, sabi natin nitrogen can form 3 bonds, but it still have 1 unshared electron. So possible pa po dito na magkaroon ng carbon or what. For this one, no, this is our branch amino acid. Because on the alpha carbon, we have here R, which represents that this can be attached with a methyl group. Okay, so that is the difference between branch chain amino acid and our amino acid, long chains of amino acid. Okay, so we have MSUD. Take note, guys, that MSUD is a autosomal recessive disorder. Okay, and the problem here is it involves, no, it involves leucine, isoleucine, and valine. No? The metabolic pathway begins normally with the transmission of these three amino acids into keto acid occur in the liver, which will have alpha keto isovaleric, alpha keto isocoproic, alpha keto beta methyl valeric. Okay. Now, the failure to inherit the gene for the enzyme necessary for the metabolism or to produce the oxidative decarboxylation, no, will result into the accumulation of these enzymes. I repeat, the failure to inherit a gene, no, for the enzyme necessary for the decarboxylation will lead into the accumulation of these amino acids in blood and in urine. Now take note, no? Take note, the failure of the body, ito na pala yung sinasabi ko kanina. Now take note guys, no? The failure of the newborn to thrive approximately within 1 week is the classical symptoms of MSUD. Okay? Failure of the newborn to thrive approximately 1 week after birth is a classical sign of MSUD. Aside from that, well, the odor of urine. No? The odor of urine. Ano po yung meron sa odor ng urine? E di maple syrup ang amoy. I assume and I guess naman, alam niyo po ang ibig sabihin or ano ang amoy ng maple syrup. That's actually the same odor or the odor of the urine of a patient with MSUD and the accumulation of the keto acids in the urine. Again, what are those keto acids? Where's my pen? I can see it. Ayun. White pala. I just have to change it. Okay, what are these three keto acids? We have alpha keto isovaleric acid. We have alpha keto isocaproic acid, and we have alpha keto beta methyl valeric. Okay. Now the test to detect MSUD is the 2,4-dinitrophenyl 2,4-dinitrophenylhydrazine test. Okay, so we have 1 ml of urine in tube and then 10 drops of 0.22 dinitrophenylhydrazine and 2 normal hydrochloric acid, then wait for 10 minutes, then observe for a yellow turbidity or precipitate, and then it means that we have the presence of the alpha keto acids in the urine. Next is we have organic acidemias. No, organic acidemias includes isovaleric acidemia and propionoic acidemia and methylmalonic acidemia. Okay, when we said isovaleric acidemia, there is a sweaty feet odor of the urine and accumulation of isovaleryl glycerin, and this is due to the deficiency of the enzyme isovaleryl coenzyme A. Okay. This is due to the problem in our isovaleryl coenzyme A in the leucine pathway. Now, for propionic acidemia and methylmalonic acidemia, the error in the metabolism converting isoleucine, valine, and thiorenin and methionine to succinyl coenzyme A. Now, what are the signs and symptoms of organic acidemias? This includes severe illness, vomiting, metabolic acidosis, hypoglycemia, ketonuria, and increased serum ammonia. Okay. Now, how about for tryptophan disorders? For tryptophan disorders, it includes increased urinary excretion of indican, which resulted into indicanuria, and increased urinary excretion of uh, H5 5-HIAA or 5-hydroxyindole acetic acid. Okay, take note that the major concern in the metabolism of tryptophan and metabolite is the increase of indican, no, and this H5-AAA. Now, what is with this tryptophan disorder? Yan. Thank God I was able to include already the graph or uh, the ang tawag dyan, the pathway. Okay? Take note guys that tryptophan, okay, is normally synthesized or converted into indole. Now, indole will be excreted via defecation or in feces. That's the normal pathway. No? That's the normal pathway. Tryptophan is converted into indole, and this indole will be excreted via defecation. Now, what if there is abnormality? Okay? What is this abnormality? We have excess indole. Why we will have an excess indole? Excess in indole is due to the problem in the intestine. Why? Why there will be a problem in the intestine? Okay? Take note guys that in normal condition, tryptophan enters into intestine either no to reabsorb for use of the producing proteins or is converted to indole. However, converted to indole by bacteria in our intestine, normal flora in our intestine. However, the failure to convert this indole by our intestinal bacteria and excreted in urine, no, will have conditions, will have consequences. And these consequences, no, will, number one, include excess in the indole. Hey, how could it come or why it will have an excess in indole? Again, because of the failure to excrete indole to convert indole. Okay? Example of that is because of obstruction, failure, on right here, failure to convert indole is due to what? Number one, obstruction. Next, number two, what? Presence of abnormal bacteria. What else? Uh, malabsorption syndrome. Okay? And of course, increased amount of tryptophan. And these are the reason why there's a failure to convert indole. Now, abnormal or excess in indole, no, anong gagawin? Reabsorb from intestine into the liver, then go to our liver. No? The excess indole is then reabsorbed from intestine to the bloodstream to into the liver. Okay, I repeat, excess indole will be reabsorbed from intestine to into bloodstream into liver. Now, this excess indole that goes into our liver will be converted into indican. Okay? And this indican is then secreted via urine. The urine that indicate that contains indican, no, increased amount of indican is what we call indicanuria. Okay, I repeat, increased amount of this indican, no, that is synthesized by the liver or converted by the liver, no, will be excreted via urination, and that is what we call indicanuria. Now take note, people, that this urine that contains indican, once exposed into air, will produce an indigo blue color of the urine. And that is our indicanuria. Okay? That is our indicanuria. Now, how about 5-hydroxyindole acetic acid or 5-HIAAA? Again, okay, again, I will read first. Again, the normal pathway is this one: tryptophan, indole, feces, excreted. Now, let's say, for example, there not really an example. That is the explanation. Now, let's say there is a presence of 5-HIAAA in the urine. What would be the condition? Well, it might be because of the patient recently consumes banana, which is rich in 5-hydroxyindole acetic acid. Okay, or there is really a underlying condition, which is what we call malignant tumors. Now take note, guys. Take note of this. Tumors, no? Tumors, ano yung ginagawa niya? It mimics the action of the cell. Okay? It mimics the actions of the cell. Ano yung ginagawa? Okay? Ano yung ginagawa? Saka meron po tayo ng 5-hydroxytryptophan. Okay? 5-hydroxytryptophan. And this is for the production of what we call serotonin. And this serotonin, no, this serotonin is important, no, in the stimulation of muscle. Okay? It is important in the stimulation of the muscle. Okay, now take note, guys, that okay, serotonin is produced by uh, katunog, okay. Hulaan nyo, kapangalan ng corned beef. Sounds like pangalan ng corned beef. Okay? Hindi 555. Yes, argentafin. Okay? So, our serotonin is produced by the argentafin cells in the intestine. Okay? Now, normally, the body uses most of the serotonin, and only small amounts of serotonin is produced. It's degradation product. And the degradation product of serotonin is our 5-hydroxyindole acetic acid. However, in cases that there is a carcinoid tumor, including our argentafin cells, and these tumors in the argentafin cells produces excess amounts of serotonin. Okay, and these excess amounts of serotonin will cause elevation in the amount of what we call 5-hydroxyindole acetic acid. I repeat, I repeat. Okay, and normally tryptophan will be converted to 5-hydroxytryptophan, or tryptophan will be converted into uh, serotonin, no, for the smooth muscle contraction or for the smooth muscle stimulation. However, in cases that there is a malignant tumor affecting the argentaphin cells, that is the one responsible for the production of this uh, serotonin, no? What will happen is these tumors will mimic the action of our argentaphin cells, which develops excess production or excess amounts of serotonin. Okay, excess amounts of serotonin includes increased amounts or elevation of our urinary metabolite 5-hydroxyindole acetoacetic acid. Since that you have an excess, what you're going to do is to remove. Okay, so that is our 5-HIAA and indicanuria. Take note, people, that uh, yeah, the normal amount of 5-HAA is 2 to 8 milligrams per day. And if you have argentaphin cell tumor, if you have argentaphin cell tumor, you have greater than 25 milligrams. Okay, greater than 25 milligrams per 24-hour, production of our 5-HIAA because again of the argentaphin cell tumors. Okay, so the test for our 5-HIAA includes silver nitroprusside test, which are going to add or place 1 ml of the urine in the tube, and then 2 drops of concentrated ammonium hydroxide and 0.5 ml of silver nitrate, no? And then wait for 10 minutes. But be careful in using silver nitrate. Make sure that it will not spill on your lab coat or on your lab gown because it will produce a black color. Now wait for 10 minutes, then observe, then add 5 of sodium nitroprussides, and then observe for a purple black color. Bakit purple? Because of the nitroprusside. Bakit black? Because of the reaction of silver nitrate. Okay. Next in line is we have our cystine disorders. We're almost near the end. Okay. So we have cystinuria, amino acids, cystinosis, inborn error of metabolism. And take note, guys, that cystine disorder has a sulfur odor. Has a sulfur odor. Okay? So how are we going to differentiate cystinuria from cystinosis? Okay? Cystinuria is elevated amount of cystine in the urine. Kaya kami nakikita ng cystine crystal. Yung hexagon shape. Okay, why? Because of the impaired reabsorption of the renal tubules in the amino acid. Okay? Impaired reabsorption of the renal tubules into amino acids. Cola, ano yan? Yung Coca-Cola? No. What is this cola? This is a mnemonic. At ano po yung mga impaired? At ano po yung mga amino acids rather na hindi na-reabsorb ng ating renal tubules? Well, definitely, number one is definitely our cystine. Okay. Aside from that, we have our ornithine. Aside from that, L, we have our lysine. And of course, A, we have our arginine. Okay. So these are the amino acids that are not reabsorbed into our renal tubules. Particularly what? Oh, correct. Proximal convoluted tubule via active transport. Okay. Now, the two modes of inheritance, reabsorption of 4 amino acids is affected. Cysteine and lysine is not reabsorbed. Okay, take note. even though that we have the failure to reabsorb these four amino acids, it is only cysteine that can be found in the urine. Sabihin, if you have the presence of cysteine in the urine, it is also suggests that there is a problem in the reabsorption of ornithine, lysine, and arginine. Now, how about cystinosis? What is cystinosis? Cystinosis is regarded as the genuine inborn error of metabolism. Okay? Cystinosis occur in the three variations, ranging from severe fetal development into infancy to a benign from appearing into adulthood. Okay? So it is divided into infantile or late onset. Well, infantile, no, rapid onset to renal failure. Late onset, gradual loss of total renal failure. In other words, sino yung mas malala? Yung involvement in the infants. Because why? Rapid progression into renal failure, while in late onset, gradual loss, paunti-unti ka pala na nawawalan. Yun nga lang, total renal failure. Okay? Well, for non-nephropathic, for non-nephropathic, relatively benign but may cause ocular disorders. Okay? So we have what we call homocystinuria. And what is this? When we said homocystinuria, there is a defect in the enzyme or in the amino acid methionine production or synthesis into homocysteine. Okay? So increase in the homocysteine increase in homocysteine includes what? Failure to thrive, cataracts, mental retardation, and thromboembolic problems. So problem in the platelet. Well, of course, it can lead into a death. Next is we have porphyrin disorders. This disorder is disorder of porphyrins metabolism. Okay, take note, people, that porphyrin are the immediate or the intermediate compounds in the production of our heme. No? Well, I will not discuss the heme synthesis or the heme pathway because I believe that you already know that in your hematology. Okay. Now, porphyrin disorders may be due to exposure to toxic agents. Now, what are the tests? For the porphyrin disorder, we have the Ehrlich test and the fluorescence under IV light in 550 to 600 nanometers in range. Where for Ehrlich test, we are using that for detection or for differentiation of the presence of porphyrias in the urine and urobilinuria. Tama? Urobilinuria, I'm sorry. Diba? Ano yun? Yung Ehrlich test, yung Swatsonsky-Warts test. No? We have the Swatsonsky-Warts test. Okay? Next in line is we have the mucopolysaccharide disorder, which is a inherited disorder, and this is due to accumulation of incompletely metabolized polysaccharide portions in the lysosomal enzymes of connective tissues and their excretion in the urine. Okay? Products frequently found in urine: dermartation sulfate, keratan sulfate, and heparan sulfate. Now, the test for this one is the CTAB or the cetyl trimethyl ammonium bromide. Okay. Next is we have the purine disorders, which includes Leishman-Hans disease. No, there's a massive excretion of uric acid, no, in children. No, in children. It is characterized by severe motor defect, gout, and renal calculi. Tandaan, si uric acid is also one of the component of renal calculi, yung bato sa bato. Okay? And Leishman-Hans disease is usually referred as the orange diaper disorder or the orange sands. For carbohydrate metabolism, we have melaturia, the presence of increased urinary sugar in the urine, and galactosuria, that is an inborn error of metabolism, and that is the importance of performing clean test, no, to detect galactosuria. Okay, so this is the end of our discussion. I hope you enjoy the discussion of inborn urine screening for inborn error of metabolism or metabolism. Okay, so thank you very much. And this will be the last topic that discusses our kidney function. Our next topics that we are going to discuss will be all about body fluids. Once again, thank you very much and stay safe, everyone.